Okay, welcome everyone. Wonderful to see everybody as we are sponsored by A.B. Spry, the Refuah Shalem of Taiva Reisa Bas Hinda, and for great zivugim for their daughter and grandchildren. Baruch Ian, who is here tonight, I almost sent the truant police to him. Yaakov Chaim Abba Nishmas Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba Esther Bas Yona Ram Ben Shmuel HaKohen. His ancestors wanted to know where he was. I didn't know what to tell them. Refuah Shalema for Liba Bas Anya. And by the way, Chaim Kramer, we are here tomorrow night and Thursday night, so you can come to the shul if you want, and we are around. I know for Baruch Ian it's a very long trip, but Baruch, you could come also if you want. We're also learning, dedicated by Shalom Fogel, Nishmas Yaakov Zeb ben Yehuda, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas Gad, Yosef ben Sion ben Yaakov Zeb, and for a great shidduch for Tzivya Bas Shoshana Gittel. We learn for the physical, spiritual, and emotional protection of Yeshua Menachem Mendel ben Beil Shendel Rivka. We are dedicated by Menachem Yemansky for the tefillah that all those that are looking for a zigvik should find it quickly and easily, and by Eddie Chazan for the safety of Klal Yisrael globally. Every day we're hearing incidents of anti-Semitism. It's really a sad situation, and we learn for the safety and nitzachon of the IDF. Okay, so the Gemara had told us we are holding on the bottom line of Nun Daled Amud Beis. The bottom line of Nun Daled Amud Beis. Should Hashem destroy just because people bow down to the sun and the moon, the stars, the constellations, well springs and valleys? Should Hashem destroy His world because of fools? V'cheinu Aimer. As we turn to Nun Hey Amud Aleph, V'cheinu Aimer. Osaf kol me'al pnei Adam no Hashem. Should I sweep away? Should I destroy everything that's on the face of the earth? Osaf Adam Behema. Should I destroy man and animal? Osaf Hashemayim Adegei Hayam. Should I destroy the birds of the heaven and the fish of the sea, and all those that cause stumbling to the wicked? Because the wicked stumble on them, they worship people. Should I wipe people from the face of the earth? We're having people tune in very late today. It's a slow start over here. Baruch Hashem, Rebellia Yafi is here. I'm such a happy man. I'm happy that almost everybody is here. I see you're still in the hotel room, but you're away for quite a while.
Heading back on Thursday. I may not make the share tomorrow night, maybe driving. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, you're driving and not flying?
No, I can't fly. They don't want me on airplanes. I'm dangerous at any height.
Well, but you're dangerous on the highway too.
Thank you.
Even walking.
By the way, what line are we on?
Okay, so we're holding right now by Shol Agrifas, which is 6 lines from the top of Nun Hey Amud Aleph. We're holding by Shol Agrifas, 6 lines from the top of Nun Hey Amud Aleph. So says the Gemara, Shol Agrifas Saut Tzva. Agrifas was. You mean historically?
Yeah, we don't know who he was, right?
I mean, just we know his time period.
Rashi says he was in the time of Agrifas the king. That was a Jewish king, Agrifas.
I don't know.
The Mishnah Saitis says when Agrifas came to...
I don't know, but I'm telling you that you see that Agrifas is also a Goyish name, so I don't know. I don't know which Agrifus this is.
Do you agree with the Melech too?
Yeah, that's what Rashi says. But may Agrifus HaMelech Haya.
Oh.
So Gedalia is saying that there is a Melech Agrifus that's Jewish. So it could be, since Rashi so casually mentions him, that's the Agrifus he's talking about. But and therefore what?
This guy says, Kosev b'say raschem. He says, no,
Right, which implies that he's not a Jew.
the general's not.
Right. So anyway, Shal Agrifus Sar Tzvayas Rabbi Gamliel, Agrifus, the captain of the army, asked Rabbi Gamliel, Ksibis Raschem. It says in your Torah, Ki Hashem Elikecha Eish Oichlahu. Hashem is a consuming fire. Kel Kana, a vengeful God. Now this is very interesting, because the word Kana, which means vengeful, also has another meaning. It also means to provoke. And Agrifus learns that it means that God is jealous. And therefore, if it means that God is jealous, that seems to point to a importance. Because klum miskane ela chacham b'chacham. A wise man is only jealous of another wise man. Begibar begibar. A mighty person is jealous of a mighty person. V'osher b'osher. And a wealthy person is jealous of a wealthy person. So the fact that God is jealous of the idolatry implies that there's something prestigious and viable about the idol. So Amalai, Sir Rabbi Gamliel says, Em shalach mashal ma davdaim. La'adam shenase isha al ishtay. A man marries a second wife. Chashuva mimena, if the second wife is more prestigious than the first wife, ein miskanaba, she's not provoked by that second wife, because it's not an insult to her that the husband took her. Pchusa mimena, but if the second wife is less than her, miskanaba, she's provoked by it. What are you taking this woman for? So here too, that a person could worship a stick and a stone when they have Rabbeinu Shalom, that's an act that provokes. Says the Gemara.
Why didn't he just tell him, no, you don't know what the word kana means. It means vengeful. It doesn't mean petty jealousy.
Well, that he wanted to give it with a mushal.
No, he's saying Hashem is resentful that you took some nothing.
Right.
But that's not what kal kana means in the first place.
No, but that's not jealousy.
Right. The word doesn't mean jealous.
That's what I just said.
But he answered him. Yes, he's jealous because you took something that's.
No, he's not answering him that.
What did he say?
He's saying that the word doesn't mean jealousy. And he shows you a case where it doesn't mean jealousy.
Okay.
Now.
Well, what about by Pinchas?
No, their kanois means zealousness. That's also not jealousy.
But he uses a double lashon.
What?
It says it twice, doesn't it? Kanos kinasi? Isn't that the way it's...
Yeah, but it's talking about that he acted on behalf of God's zealousness.
Got it.
Now, Amalei Zunin l'Rabbi Akiva. Now here Zunin is a Hebrew name. Right? Rashi says Yisrael Haya. Rashi's keeping track over here for us. So Zunin says, look, we know the truth. Libi v'lipcha yada d'avodas kechavim les b'mishasha. We know that idolatry is nothing. But there's a there's a question. But v'haka chazinan gavre, we see people, the ozlei ki mitbere, they go into the church when they're have broken limbs, v'osu ki mitzmedei, and they come out whole. So my time, why? They go in wounded and they come out healed. Amalai, so it's an interesting thing. Em shalach mashal l'mad davdaima. La'adam ne'man shahaya be'er. There was a trustworthy person in the city. V'chol b'nei irai haya mafkidin etzlai shaloi be'edim. He was very trustworthy. Everybody gave him a deposit without witnesses. But one man didn't trust him and always deposited him with witnesses. One time he forgot to get the witnesses. So his wife said to him, you know, he deserves it. Let's say it didn't happen. Because he always gives us with witnesses. Let's go and deny it. So he said to her, because this fool did improperly, we should lose our trust with people. In other words, because he acted improperly and he didn't have witnesses one time, we should lose our faith? Now, here the Gemara tells us, suffering that comes on a person has a date stamp. In other words, it's going to last for exactly this amount of time, and then it's going to stop. Says the Gemara. One second. And by the way, it's now 10 minutes later. Afka. So also, let me finish my words. Afkach, Yisurin, suffering, when Hashem sends them on a person, Hashem has the suffering taken oath. That they shouldn't start except at this day, and they shouldn't leave until this day. And at this hour, and through this doctor, and through this medicine. When it came the time for the suffering to be up, this guy walked into the church. So the Gemara says, Amru Yisurin, the suffering says, Dinu shaloi neitzi. Really, we shouldn't leave the person so that they shouldn't come to the wrong conclusion. But because this fool did improperly and went into a church, should we lose our oath? It's interesting. It says, the bad sickness and trustworthy. Now, how is a sickness trustworthy? Says the Gemara, Roim b'shlichusam, their agency is to do bad, v'nemonim b'shvuasam, but they're trustworthy to only come when they're supposed to come and leave exactly when they're supposed to leave. So basically what the Gemara is saying is it happens to be that this person walked into the church on the time that the Yisurim were going to leave anyway. What do you want to ask?
What's the point of the beginning of the mashal about the guy that was trustworthy and everybody gave him money without aiding? What do you need that introduction for?
Are you going back to the case before? Amalei Rava bar Rav Yitzchak Rav Yehuda. Don't do that.
What?
We're ready on the next case now, no?
The muscle of the guy that everybody gave him money, and then one guy used to He used to only give with Adam, and then he gave without Adam.
Yeah, the point of the mashal is that we are establishing that just because he could get away with it and Taka keep the $1 million, and the man won't be able to say anything. Right? He won't be able to say anything. But you don't do that because then you lose your trust. Here also, the suffering could say, listen, we shouldn't go into church. It will give the person the wrong impression. Right? And we say, no, if you do that, we're going to lose our trust.
Who loses the trust? The church?
No, the suffering.
The sufferer.
But here it's saying that people are going in there. You know, it seems that the majority of people go in there.
No, it doesn't say people go in there. He said that I saw it happen once.
Oh, I have one.
Doesn't say the majority of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amalei Rava Barav Yitzchak Rabbi Huda. Listen to this. There's a church in our place. When the world needs rain, the priest is shown in a dream, and they tell him in the dream, offer up a human sacrifice, and that's what he does. He offers a human sacrifice, so, I mean, he was shown that in the dream. Amalei. So here, Rabbi Yitzchak says, Rabbi Yehuda says, it's a good thing I'm still alive. Amalei hashta ihavi shechivna. If I would have died, lo imre lechuha milsa. Who would have told you this? There are times that when people stray after idolatry, the Yetzer Hara is allowed to trick them. The Amarab, my dichsiv, asher cholak Hashem alikecha oisam l'chol ha'amim. That Hashem made it slippery for you and made it smooth for you for all the nations. Malamed shechlikon bidvarim. He made it smooth with words. It looks like I had a dream to use a human sacrifice and there'll be rain. It looks like that there's something to idolatrous worship. Now, why would the Rebbeinu Shalom do that? Kedei l'tordan min ha'olam. Since they are immersed in the sin, Hashem lets them slip down a slippery slope. To the mockeries he acts with mockery. And to the humble he shows grace, charm. Person comes to be metame, Hashem gives him the ability. People that come to purify, Hashem helps them. I mean, this is for example, it says in the Medrash that when they said Moshe Rabbeinu was late, the Satan was allowed to show them a vision of Moshe Rabbeinu in a coffin. How is the Satan allowed to do that? That's an example in L'leitzim Hu Yolitz. If somebody is Balatame, Mitamenaisai. It's a scary thing. It's like almost like the Satan is given rishus to push somebody off the cliff.
So what's this with Moshe? I mean, who is Mitame when
Because they thought to do idolatry. Now, okay, now we switch gears tremendously. I guess it's a good to have a hakdama over here that in the wine process, the wine is put in the press, and there's an area where the grapes are the grapes are put in the press. There's an area where the grapes are trod upon. Then they're put on a mound where the pressure causes juice to come out. Then they put a korah on the mound, and then the juice goes down the belt, so to speak, the board, into a vat. The vat has a strainer at its mouth. It strains the wine. They then skim the wine and put it in a barrel. They skim it again, they seal the barrel. So we'll see that it's only when the wine goes into the vat that it's considered wine, and it is susceptible to nesach, to libation. There's a second concern, and that is that you're not supposed to generate tumah to produce of Eretz Yisrael, and that's another problem. And I want to say that Rabbi Kniel, I'm glad that you joined us. I know I invited him and told him I missed him. So, Baruch Hashem, it's good to have you. And, okay, listen, we have 28 Zoomers. I don't know where everybody is this evening, but we welcome in Barish Gesseman, Barry Cement, Yaakov Warman, Saba, Shimon Klein, Eddie Chazan, Lux Board, Mel Zachter, Chaim Kramer, Dr. Block, Irving Fishbaum, who's sponsoring the Chumashit next tomorrow, Mo Kushner, Michal, Baruchian, Dr. Guy, Yitzi Fuchs, A.B. Spry, Rebellia Yaffe, Yisrael Fisher, Avigdor, I don't know where Reuven Pollack is. I'm very disappointed. Rabbi Kniel, Eli Yudel, Rabbi Kranz, Marshall Castle, Moshe Lehman, Elia Shupnan, Avram Zepkowitz, Abe Arbach. Here in Shul we have Gedalia Engel, Michal Avram Chavin, and Reuven Shannon. Okay, so Loikin Gas Beuta Min Oive Kechavim, you could buy from the wine, from the trod upon belt, from a guy, Afal Pishu Noitel Biyadai, even if he takes already the grapes, V'noisin the tapuach, and he puts it on the mound, because Ve'eno Isi Yayin Nesach, it doesn't make wine, Yayin Nesach, it's not prohibited as Yayin Nesach, Ad Sheyorad Labar, until it flows down into the vat. Yorad Labar, once it flows down to the vat, Mashe Babar Aser, that which is in the vat is Aser, Vashar Mutter, but the stuff that's still on the belt is permitted. Now, Dorchin Imha Oive Kechavim Begas, you could press together with the guy when it's on the belt. Because already, when it's on the belt, it means you could join him. And since the guy already trod upon it, he already was metamayit. So you're not assisting him in bringing tumah to chulin in Eretz Yisrael. But you can't harvest with him. Because you're harvesting the grapes, which is going to go and become tumah. You're assisting in causing tumah to come to Paris of Eretz Yisrael. Now this is talking about a guy. A yid, you're not allowed to be misayeh him in an act of an aveira, even if it's already tumah. So Yisrael shu'aisa b'tumah, Yisrael that is not careful, and he's producing in tumah, loidarchen, you can't trod upon the grapes. Now, even though it's already tameh, but in the act where he's metameyit, you cannot be messiah yedei aveira. You can't harvest them with him. But if it's not the act and it's already tamei, then you could do the rest of the process. And therefore, you could bring with him barrels, empty barrels to the press, and fill up the wine in them, and bring the barrels, the full barrels from the press. Now here again, Nachton, the baker, if he's a yid, shiraisa b'tumah, that he's producing bread b'tumah, you can't knead with him, or braid with him, or bake with him, because that's being Messiah lidei over Havera. That's the time that it becomes tamei. But you can bring the bread afterwards, which is now a different act. You can bring the bread with him to the lapalter, to the retailer.
Do we have this with Jews of Tomei that they make wine of bread?
What? No, now we're not careful with the tumah today. Now, Amar Rav Huna. Now everybody's Tmei Meis. We don't have the Meichatis, the water of lustration with the ashes of the Parah Aduma. There is no way for us to remove the Tumas Meis. We're all Tmei Meisim. That's why, when you read about that, historically, there were never so many people that went up to the Harabayas on Tisha B'Av. That's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. Because that's an Issachorus. We are all Tmei Mesim. To go up to the Harabayas is one of the 36 Isurei Karos. I was thinking about asking a question last night, but there simply wasn't time. But many people watched a film on Tisha B'Av by Rabbi Gold about whether the menorah is in the deep recesses of the Vatican. And it begs the question, why would the Rebbeinu Shalom allow the menorah? And he says that a Rav actually viewed the Big Day Kahuna, the Big Day Kohen Gadol, in the recesses of the Vatican. Why would the Rebbeinu Shalom leave in the Vatican the Big Day Kahuna? And I think the answer is very obvious. There's a reason why there's a mosque on the top of Harabayas. If there was no mosque on the top of Harabayas, some crazy people would be offering karbanos there. Isurei Karas galore. And the same thing is true. What would we do with the Big Day Kahuna? The Big Day Kahuna is 20,000 volts. You know that there's a medrash that Vashti wore the Big Day Kohen Gadol. And look what happened to her. She died by having the demand that she should remove all her clothing. The fact that there's the menorah, what would we do with the menorah?
Where would you keep it?
Huh?
Where would you keep it?
Where would you keep it? What would you do with it? It's very dangerous.
When the Mashiach comes, we'll get these things.
Yeah, of course. Now, Rav Huna makes a statement now that sounds like it's contrary to everything we learned till now. Rav Huna, Yayin, Kevan Shehischel Himoshech, wine, as soon as it starts to flow freely into the vat, even before it reaches the vat, if the guy touches it, it becomes yayin. So right away the Gemara asks, that sounds completely different than what we learned in the Mishnah. Tran, loichin gas ba'uta min ha'oved kochavim. You could buy, even when the wine is trod upon on the belt of the press. And even if he takes the grapes, and he takes it off the press and he puts it on the mound, you don't have to worry about yayin nesach. Rav Huna says that's because begas bekuka or malaya. It's talking about where the belt is plugged up so that the juice cannot flow into the vat. And it backs up and it's full. So it's not flowing. Tajma, it doesn't make yayin nesach until it goes down to the vat, which implies that even if it's flowing, it's not yayin nesach until it's in the vat. So he says, no, it means hachanami begas pekuka malaya. It means that it's plugged up, and therefore it can't get into the vat, and it's not flowing. Tajma, yored labar, once it goes down to the vat, mashe babar aser, what's in the vat can be aser as yayin nesach, v'ashar mutter. So here it says clearly that even if it's flowing, even if the vat is not plugged, only what's in the vat is aser, but not what's on the belt, even if it's flowing. So Rav Huna says you're right, but there's a Mishnah Rishayna and a Mishnah Achrayna. Amar Rav Huna like kasha, kan be Mishnah Rishayna. There was a first teaching where it's taka that it's only what's in the vat. But kan be Mishnah Achrayna, there's a second teaching. And I'm teaching like the second teaching. The Tanya, B'Rishayna haya Imrim, initially they said about wine, bedad. That's a siman. Beis dalad dalad. The beis is ein beitzin and ma'ivik kachavim begas. You can't harvest grapes with the idol worshiper, because when you're harvesting the grapes with the idol worshiper, you're assisting him in bringing tumah to Paris of Eretz Yisrael. She'asa ligram tumah l'chulim sheb Eretz Yisrael. Ve'ein dorchen im Yisrael she'ayse Paris of betumah. And you can't press the grapes with a yid who does Paris of betumah. This means that even though he started and he was metameyed already, but in the act where he's metameyed, you can't be misayaya over avera. She'asur l'sayaya yedei over avera. So that's of the bedad. That's the first dalet. And aval dorchim moivik kachavim begas. But you could press with the guy, because since he already trod upon it, it's tamei. So you're not actually bringing tumah, and there's no iser of being Messiah Yedei Over Aveira by a guy. But in this, it says that you could tread even when it's already flowing, and you're not worried about Yayin Nesach. V'lo chayshin on the Rav Huna. However, v'chazru leimer, but then second teaching is debad. Ein dorchin ma'ivik kachavim begas. You can't trod with a guy when it's on the wine press, because since it's already flowing, you're not allowed to work with yayin nesach. It's asbana, mishum de Rav Huna. Ve'ein beitzim im Yisrael she'ayse peiraisa b'tumah. You cannot harvest with a yid that's going to make peris b'tumah, because you're being gairim a yid to bring tumah to peris of Eretz Yisrael. V'kol shechen shein dorchin, because you're being misayeh over avera. Aval beitzim im ha'evei b'kachavim begas, but you could harvest with a guy at the press. Why? Because he holds that there's no isser to bring tumah to chulin in Eretz Yisrael. See, by a yid, where it becomes truma and meiser, there's an isser because you're not allowed to be geirim that the eventual truma and maisa will be tamei. Rashi says a very interesting thing. Rashi says when it says in the pasuk mishmeres trumoisai in the plural, it means that you have to guard the truma, and if you have to guard it even when it's chulin, because eventually when you separate it, it's going to be truma tameya. But you could vintage with a guy in the gas, because there's no problem that the guy is going to be Gerim Tumah, because a guy could bring Tumah to Paris Eretz Yisrael. Shemutter ligram Tumah l'chulin sheberetz Yisrael. He's allowed to be Gerim Tumah to Chulin in Eretz Yisrael. The only problem is that it's eventually going to be Truma and Meiser. That's true by a Yid, not by a guy, because obviously this opinion holds that there is a power of a guy to be mafkia the produce from the truma and maestros. Okay, Rabbi say. Well, 1 second. Okay, Rabbi say we already did the Mishnah Yomis. Again, I want to remind you that we did do the Q&A. I'm going to try to put the Q&A up on YouTube and on Torah Anytime on my listing. But as it is now, you can get the Q&A already by just going to TorahAnytime.com and going to the section of the Irgun. And the Irgun already has the full thing, the full video there already. Yes, Barry?
Isn't the reason you want to see the menorah just to you know the real way that it was made? There's machlokes how it's made.
Well, it would be nice that we should get at least a picture of it. They did release hundreds of thousands of pages of manuscript, and they did put it on digitally. So I'm sure that it's going to be coming out in the near future. Many Rishonim that never saw the light of day. I'm sure that we're going to get a hold of that. The Vatican, yes. The Vatican already released digitally many Jewish manuscripts.
I was on the Titus. You see what the menorah looks like. How the
all, not just by the Arch of Titus, all over Rome are pictures of the menorah. All over Rome.
Including the stones, like the pavement.
Correct. All over Rome. It's really, really amazing.
I spent 3 days at the Vatican Library.
What?
I spent 3 days at the Vatican Library touching sperm that people haven't touched in their lifetimes. Cardinal Dolan got me in, and so I went and I was there for 3 days.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I didn't need the Vatican. I'm friendly with Rabbi Avigdor from Rhode Island, and he got me into the Yale Library. And there's a floor in the Yale Library of Judaica. And I could have spent weeks there. Do you know how many English commentaries of Chumash are there? For some reason, our blue Chumash that we used in our youth, that Chumash was chosen to be our English Chumash before Atzbro. But there are probably dozens of different English Chumashim. There's other English Shas besides Sansino. It's really fascinating. And Svarim there galore. So what they have in the Vatican, I cannot imagine. You know the Meiri, which was an incredible find. The Meiri was not around when Rav Yosef Karo wrote the Shulchan Aruch. And it could have changed. There was a reason the Rabbeinu Shalom wanted the Meiri not to be found at that time. The Meiri was an awesome find. Who knows what other Rishonim we're going to unearth and uncover when that comes to light. I want to thank everybody for joining. I will be broadcasting in Staten Island on the Wednesday night and Thursday, Staten Island, boy, from Lakewood, Wednesday night and Thursday night. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful night.